legacy. Okay, so listen, remember that look Queen Elizabeth gave Meghan on the wedding day? Not the royal wave or that classic tight-lipped smile. No, the look. You probably thought, oh, she's just tired, poor thing. But babe, that look, it meant something. And now, years later, we're finding out what was really going on behind that royal poker face. Turns out, according to Lady Elizabeth Anson, yep, the Queen's actual cousin and lifelong confidant, Her Majesty had her royal radar fully activated the moment Meghan Markle waltzed into the palace. And spoiler alert, she wasn't amused. Behind the scenes, Queen Elizabeth didn't see Meghan as some dazzling breath of fresh air. Nope, she saw a storm in heels. According to Lady Elizabeth, the Queen believed Meghan didn't fall in love with Harry in some fairy tale whirlwind. She engineered it every single step. Let that sink in. The Queen called Meghan a troublemaker, and she meant it. Not in the cheeky, affectionate way you might tease a rebellious corgi. This was serious. Meghan to the Queen was ambitious, strategic, and unwilling to play the royal game. And honey, Meghan wasn't just breaking the rules, she was tossing the whole rulebook in the fire and sipping tea while it burned. It started early. One of the first big red flags, the wedding. Now you'd think a royal wedding would be handled with military precision, but no. Harry went ahead and asked the Archbishop of Canterbury to officiate without even telling the Dean of Windsor. You don't skip over centuries of tradition like it's a menu option. And to the Queen, that wasn't just an oversight. It was a slap in the face. Her own grandson, her Harry, sidestepping the very institution she devoted her life to preserving. But wait. It gets worse. Just before the big day, Meghan refused to show the Queen her wedding dress. The Queen had simply asked for a peek during a private meeting. Imagine that, the literal Queen of England politely asking, and Meghan shutting her down like she was a nosy tabloid reporter. That moment, it never left the Queen. Because if Meghan couldn't trust her with a dress, how could she trust her with anything else? And that was just the beginning of the unraveling. Let's talk about Kate. You've heard the rumors, right? Well, guess what? The Queen saw it too. Lady Elizabeth said Her Majesty could tell from the jump. Meghan and Kate didn't gel, like oil and vinegar levels of tension. And this wasn't some sister-in-law squabble. This was dangerous. It fractured the image of unity that the monarchy desperately needed, especially with the younger royals stepping up. But you know what truly broke the Queen? It wasn't Meghan. It was Harry, the Harry she adored. The cheeky, warm-hearted grandson with that sparkle in his eye suddenly became different, weaker, unrecognizable, besotted, and not strong, the Queen allegedly said. And ouch, right? Because behind closed doors, she wasn't mad. She was heartbroken. The worst part? Meghan, in the Queen's view, knew exactly what she was doing. And Harry, he was too blinded by love, or whatever he thought it was, to see it. Let's be real. Queen Elizabeth had handled some serious royal drama in her lifetime. From divorces to scandals, she'd seen it all. But this was next level. Meghan wasn't just a rebellious duchess. She was, according to those closest to the Queen, disruptive in a way that shook the very foundations of the monarchy. Lady Elizabeth, who knew how to spot the difference between a rebel and a saboteur, said it best. Meghan's behavior leaned hard toward sabotage. And as for Harry, he started to change fast. Family events became tense. Conversations were no longer spontaneous. They were filtered, controlled. Harry began repeating Meghan's words almost verbatim. That independent spark the Queen had admired in him, gone. He wasn't just isolated, he chose isolation. And the Queen, well, behind the palace wall, she called it what it was, tragic. And now, brace yourself, because there was one moment that shook everyone. Lady Elizabeth recounted how Harry once spent 10 straight minutes on the phone berating his grandmother. Not a disagreement, not a respectful challenge, a straight up berating. And the Queen, she sat there and took it. Silently, shaken. The woman who had protected Harry for decades was now being scolded like she was the villain. That phone call changed everything. In that moment, she knew the grandson she loved was slipping away, and Meghan had something to do with it. Meanwhile, the divide between Harry and William kept growing wider. At first, it was whispers, subtle tension, but by the time of the wedding, it was undeniable. Meghan and Kate were clashing, and William, he was watching his brother fade into a stranger, and the Queen, She was watching it all fall apart from the inside. Here's what's really wild. Meghan's charm in public was unmatched. She dazzled at charity events, spoke eloquently, flashed that Hollywood smile, but in private, cold, dismissive, aloof. She didn't mesh with royal staff. She ignored traditions like they were optional guidelines. And when things went sideways, she didn't seek understanding. She went straight to confrontation, calling out racism, branding the institution as outdated, painting herself as the misunderstood heroine. Now look, the Queen wasn't blind to the faults of the monarchy. She knew change was needed. But Meghan, she didn't come to adapt. She came to rewrite. And that sent chills down Elizabeth's spine. The fairy tale? Cracking. The royal machine? Buckling. Staff couldn't stay. Whispers started leaking. The Queen, already in her 90s, was watching the monarchy she had spent a lifetime defending start to collapse under the weight of one relationship. And then came the confession, the one that haunts us. Lady Elizabeth remembered what the Queen said with painful clarity. We think she engineered it all. Not a misunderstanding, not an accident, engineered. That single sentence from the Queen herself changed everything. Elizabeth knew love, she knew family, she knew heartbreak, but she also knew manipulation when she saw it. Meghan, to her, wasn't some wide-eyed duchess caught in a whirlwind. She was a woman on a mission. And Harry? The Queen feared he was just a piece on her chessboard. Even though Harry kept insisting publicly that his grandmother supported the marriage, letters, speeches, all of it, the real story was very different. In private, the Queen confided in her cousin. I'm not content at all, and that broke her heart. Because it wasn't just about tradition, it wasn't just about rules. It was about trust. Trust that was now shattered. So now picture this. The fairy tale wedding has come and gone. The gowns, the choirs, the global headlines, but behind all that glitter, the Queen wasn't celebrating. No champagne toasts in her heart. No proud grandmother tears. Just worry. Serious, heavy, can't sleep at night worry. Lady Elizabeth Anson, bless her, later revealed the Queen never saw Harry and Meghan's wedding as a celebration. To her, it was the beginning of the end. The jury's out, she told her cousin before dropping the royal bombshell. We think she engineered it all. Heroic revolution. That wasn't just a comment, it was a mic drop. The Queen's private verdict on the entire relationship. And it didn't stop there. Once Meghan became a duchess, things spiraled. She didn't try to adapt, she wanted to stand out. Traditions, curtsies, protocol, beneath her. Meghan didn't aim to join the royal family, she aimed to rebrand it. Meghan Inc. And Harry, he followed her lead step by step. The Queen, ever composed, didn't lash out, but she confided in Lady Elizabeth again and again. Her tone changed from concern to heartbreak. By 2019, her optimism was gone. She no longer trusted Meghan. Not because of a single scandal, but because of a chilling pattern. Meghan would light up on camera, be charming at events, but backstage, cold, dismissive, aloof. She wasn't trying to earn respect. She was waiting for the day she could walk away and take the spotlight with her. The Queen saw it. Saw all of it, and she feared what it meant for Harry. And this next part, oh, it's brutal. Because the Queen never stopped trying. She kept reaching out, attending events she didn't have the strength for, picking up the phone, knowing it might end in tears. She wanted to make it work. She didn't want to lose her grandson. But over time, it became painfully clear Harry was gone. Not physically, but in spirit, in loyalty, in heart. He wasn't just stepping away from duty, he was leaving her. The woman who had stood by him when the world judged him, who protected him when his mother died, who gave him everything. And what did Harry do? He chose someone who saw the monarchy not as a legacy, but as a ladder. And that betrayal, it cut deep. This wasn't about crowns or headlines, it was about family. A grandmother who loved her grandson, watching him slip away, press release by press release. She gave him trust, love, her blessing, and he walked away like it meant nothing. The Queen had seen scandals before, she was used to whispers, but this was personal. And Meghan, every bump in the road turned into a headline. Her struggle, her truth, her narrative. The staff, the press, the royals, even the Queen were painted as villains in a story they never wrote. For Elizabeth, who ruled with grace and silence, watching her family's private pain broadcast like reality TV, it was heartbreaking. Lady Elizabeth said it. Meghan didn't want to join the story, she wanted to own it. To the Queen, Meghan's charisma wasn't for the family, it was for herself. And when things went wrong, blame everyone else. Never look inward. And the Queen, she'd seen that before and she wasn't buying it. Her fear wasn't just about Harry, it was for everything. The monarchy had survived war, scandal, betrayal, but this threat came from within. By the end, it didn't just exhaust her, it broke her. She lost more than a grandson. She lost his heart to someone she believed never truly loved him. And that's the twist. This wasn't about Meghan being American or divorced or famous. It was that the Queen believed Meghan planned it all. Not love, not fate, a strategy. And Harry, just the pawn. So when you see the wedding footage, that look on the Queen's face, that wasn't fatigue, that was heartbreak. Because even behind palace walls, not even the crown can shield you from the pain of losing someone you love.